Well, and good morning from Europe. Thursday, April 16th. Sahura will be with you with the short market updates. Together, we're going to check what's going on in the market, geopolitical news, political news, economic news, earnings reports, and everything you have to know about the markets. S&P 500 printed new all-time high, recovered all its loss during Iran war, and now it's gaining even more. Market says the war is over. Donald Trump says we are so close to make a deal. Russia says everything are showing that the Americans are preparing for the next round of war. As the more troops coming to the Strait of Hormuz towards the Persian Gulf and the Middle East, as the new US Navy is coming there, everything all the time. And also there is a report telling that Americans, Pentagon actually contacted with the many American companies like car and industrial companies to ask them to support for production of the missiles, production of the equipment, war equipment, and anything that the Pentagon needs for them from them, as they say that the inventories are in a low level, especially after Ukraine and Iran war, and they need to have more inventories of food. They recover the war equipment, actually, inventories like missiles, weapons, whatever they need. And Russia says all these news on all these signs telling that the Americans are preparing for the second round, and now it's the turn for United States to use the exact strategy that Iranian used to. I mean, to use it actually. If we can better say it this way, because Iranian always used the negotiations for negotiations, and now it sounds like Americans are trying to repeat what the Iranian they did with them in the past 47 years to negotiate for negotiations to buy the time and bring more armies, more troops, more equipment to the Middle East, and especially to the CENTCOM area to start a new round of the war and finish the job. That's what the sign says, that's what the American says, but the markets are not, sounds like our markets are not so good with that. However, that at least we can say that the Donald Trump is the best market creator. Actually, we can say he shaped the market like it was such a big V shape in the market recovering after recent low. Last night, S&P 500 closed much higher, even though, I mean, it's not just about, I have to mention, it's not just about the war. The earnings reports also helped the Donald Trump to print this positive recovery, to have to get this positive recovery. So what we can see here that now Dow Jones last night closed slightly lower, but 0.15% lower, but S&P 500 gained about 0.8%. Nasdaq closed higher by 1.6%. S&P 500 closed at 5,022, almost $23, all-time high, amazing, 1.3% higher than all-time the highest all-time highest numbers that we had before war starts. VIX is down at 18.17. That's why the gold is increasing by 4,800, almost 50. Oil is trading around $90, $91 again. Same. I'm sorry. Again, around 90, $91, again, around the same levels that we had yesterday, not big change. It's because of this positive news around about the war. The US 10 years bond yields is around 4.27%, while in Japan 10 years bond yields is down to 2.40%. That's why we can see the US dollar index at 98, around 98. That's amazing, around 98. It's interesting to say that Wall Street Journal dollar index is down to 95. 9508. That's also just that's not a dollar index, it's the Wall Street dollar index. Wall Street Journal dollar index. But the dollar index itself is 98.03. As mentioned, these positive news, including in line with the in line with this positive political and geopolitical positive news, actually, we can say, in line with the amazing earnings reports and the good news from the tech-based companies and AI-based companies, helped the Nikkei to gain by 2.4%. Same for the DOG, for the Kospi and other Asian stocks in Shanghai, Hang Seng. All of them they are gaining, but the Kospi and the Nikkei they're forward. They are at the first line. However, in Hong Kong, Hang Seng also rate increasing by 1.6%. In Shanghai, we can see 0. Almost 7%, more than 0.7% gain. So far today, the markets are positive. In line with this geopolitical news, don't forget that we're going to have most probably we're going to have the next round of negotiations in just like in less than 48 hours. Most probably it's not 100% confirmed, but we're gonna, I mean, that's what the news are about. At least we can say that's what the Pakistanis are trying to do today. So far we had a Taiwan Semiconductor earnings reports also beat the expectations for both EPS and revenues, helped the markets as mentioned in Taiwan, in Hong Kong, in Japan, and also South Korea. Later today, we're gonna have the Netflix, Pepsi, and many other companies to publish their reports. Yesterday, also we had amazing reports. ASML, another semiconductor producer, increased by 8, had a better than expected EPS and revenues. Bank of America, Morgan Stanley also repeated the same banking positive reports that we had so far in recent days. In economic data, yesterday we had interesting numbers and interesting data. After yesterday update that we had, I have to say that French inflation increased by 0.1% monthly in Eurozone. Industrial production increased by 0.4% monthly base, but annually again is down by 0.6% in February, same as what they did in February, in January. In United States, MBA 30 years mortgage rate is down to 6.42% from previous 6.51%. That helped the mortgage market to have more application and apply by 1.8% growth after 4 weeks of falling rapidly. In India, trade balance was not good. In Brazil, we had a retail sales increasing only 0.2% in February by 0.6% annual with monthly base. That tells us that the Central Bank of Brazil, BCB, Brazilian Central Bank, most probably can go forward with another 25 basis point at least rate cut in its next meeting, as they did in their previous meeting as well, down from 15% to 14.75%. Yesterday, we had EIA weekly inventory reports as well, and we saw that crude oil inventories fell by more than 900,000 bottles previous week, while the market was expecting by more than 2 million bottles, increasing the inventories. Gasoline inventories also fell by more than 6 million bottles. That's still us. That's still lots to us. As well, the market are expecting. I mean, in recent weeks, while the market was worried about the oil inventories across the world, U.S. inventories always was increasing. But now, last week, we can see the both oil and gasoline inventories are falling. That was one of the reasons that we didn't see much fall or further fall in the oil market and oil price. However, I have to mention that the market, because of this blockade that we have in the Persian Gulf, and still the lower in supply that we have still from the the Persian Gulf, the oil is not passing still the Strait of Hormuz, and physically the oil market is still in a shortage. So let's see let's a little bit wait for next 48 hours and see if they go forward with the next round of the negotiations or not. I have to say that the negotiations, it's not confirmed yet, and also Donald Trump says that the White House actually says that there is no plan for to extend the ceasefire after ending, which is going to be in the next 72 hours. But the Reuters had some reports about that. Both sides sounds like they confirmed they accepted to extend the ceasefire for more 1 week. Let's see what's going to happen and how this. It's all depend on the negotiations, uh, which supposed to be in the next 48 hours in Pakistan again, but we are not sure if that will happen or not. Today, so far, we had important economic data, especially from Australia. We saw that Australian employment labor market was still not big changes. I mean, we didn't have a big matter there. Unemployment rate repeated 4.3%. Actually, the market also was expecting the same, not changing from the previous. But in China, GDP was amazing. For the first quarter, we saw the GDP increasing by more than 5%, while industrial production also increased by 5.7% year over year in March, but less than previous month, however. This is while the retail sales increased only 1.7% and fixed asset investment increased only 1.7%, same as the retail sales. Both are very weak numbers. Same worry and concerns again repeated in a housing market, with the house price index falling again by 3.4%. That's disappointed. The biggest challenge in China is the house market and demand, domestic demand. Let's see what's going to happen with them. The China want to do something, they have to think about them before anything else. In United Kingdom, GDP increased only 0.5% in February, 3 months by 3 months. Also, the GDP increased by 0.5% for the February. That's while industrial production on the monthly base increased only 0.5%, but annually fell again by 0.4%. Manufacturing production, while on the monthly base fell by 0.1%, annually fell by 0.5%. That says that the production market, manufacturing, industrial sector are still very weak and disappointing in United Kingdom, while the best sector, which is the service sector in United Kingdom, increased only 0.5%, showing that the UK economy is struggling, and UK should do something for its economy. If they cut their rates, which is supposed to be in the current situation, will they be able to handle the inflation or not? That's something that we have to wait and see the fate of war. But this economic data are not something that can support the United Kingdom. Later today, we're gonna have the inflation numbers from Italy. We're gonna have the bond selling auction in Spain, but market will focus on inflation numbers in Eurozone, which is expected to increase by 2.5% in March for the headline, and core by 2.3%, repeating the same numbers that we had in the first expectations, but they're higher than previous months in February. Later today, as all Thursdays, we're going to have United States labor market data for jobless claims, initial and continuing claims. Both are expected to repeat almost the same numbers that we had previous week. Not a big difference, still confirming that the US labor market are still fine. Not bad, not good, fine. That's a different thing. Don't forget about this word. Industrial production, manufacturing production, both are supposed to increase slightly less than previous month by 0.1%, but still positive compared with the Europeans and especially the UK changes. These data are something that we're expecting. These data and numbers are what we're expecting to see. That's what we can say. Gold, stock markets, and crypto markets cautiously positive. Gold, stock market, and crypto market cautiously positive, while we know that the Bitcoin again trading above $75,000, while Ethereum is trading around $2,250, Ripple around $2.40, and same others. Generally, the crypto market are cautiously positive, same for the stock market, same for the gold price. On the other side, oil, US dollar index, and bond yields, they are cautiously negative. Cautiously negative. That's something that for now, and all depends on the geopolitical tensions and any news that comes from the war. condition in Iran war is the main market driver, still the main market driver, because it's directly affecting the oil price, directly affecting the inflation numbers, and directly affecting the central bank's policies, and directly can affect any markets. That's why this war is very important, as if it continues, the inflation can continues further, but if it ends by some positive news, that can be very good news, positive news for inflation, for the financial market as well, and even for the many investment in new Iran. And let's see how that's going, how that will end. That's what's happening in the market, what's happening, and our expectation. Hope it was useful for you. Talk to you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye bye.